So there's a saying that says it's always the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world that do. And so we need your help in creating change and creating this movement. We have certain questions that we are going to be asking that we would love your responses. Help us help you. And the way to do that, connect with us. Answer these questions, whether it's through video form, whether it's through email, whether it's through commenting on content. Send us your responses. The more responses we have, the more engagement we have, the more we are able to be seen by the people who make the big decisions. And that's why we need your help. Hello, Evodi Bashengi back again with a pop-up conversation themed Black motherhood through our lens. My name is Evodi Bashengi. I'll be your host today. And so what we're going to do to get you a little bit acquainted with the panelists here, we're going to say our name, how many children we have, and the ages of our children. And I'll start. My name is Evodi. I have 2 children, 12 and 6.
And my name is Ajibike. I have 3 kids aged 4-year-old, 2 years old, and a 3-month-old baby. And busy life over here.
Awesome.
My name is Mary Noah. I have 2 kids, one 9 years old and one 2 years old.
Hi, my name is Shanna and I have 3 kids, one 8, one 5, and one 3.
Hello, my name is Offrey and I'm a first-time mom and I have a baby who is 5 months old.
So this seems like a very straightforward question, but I'd love to know, what does it mean to be a Black mother? And is there any difference between a mother and anyone that's a mother and Black women who are mothers? What does that represent? What does that mean? What's the difference in there?
Wow, I love that question. In my opinion, being a Black mother, I feel like means being created to like nurture and, take care of. And I feel like one of the biggest differences between being a Black mother and any other mother is in our culture, and maybe not for every Black mother, but for most Black mothers, from a young age we're kind of brought up, with the mindset of mothering, right? We're taught to like mother our siblings or friends, and like I remember even for myself, like when I was in high school, my friends would refer to me as mother hen, right? Because I was super protective of like all of my friends and just everyone around me. So I feel like even before I became an actual mom of children, I have always been or seen myself as a mom.
Yeah, I love that. Anyone else?
I think that's actually very true because like having friends identify you as a mom already. Like I schooled in Ukraine and they called me babushka, and that like whenever we had like Christmas or whatever, I cooked and like brought food, for like everybody, and it was just like, oh, babushka, and it was an interesting dynamic. Like I never found it as something that I had to think about, but just to like add on to that, like being a Black mother gives you I guess an added responsibility. I don't know where anyone was at when George Floyd died and we had to go for a march. There was a protest, like there was a peaceful protest here in Edmonton, like I cannot imagine like you have a child or like and you have to have all these different conversations with them just so that they know that they're a person, they're like who they are, but there's some identity in which people have associated stereotypes to your identity, and that you need to be able to protect yourself well enough so you don't become a statistic or like a victim, so like that's that gives another level to mothering when it comes to being a Black mother.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, and I would second that. On the part of the identity, for me, I grew up in Quebec City, so I have been disconnected with my Black African heritage for the longest time. So when I became a mom, for me it was like, okay, what am I gonna transfer to my children? What am I gonna teach? Because I am in a biracial relationship, so my partner is white. And for them, it's not something they think about. But for me, I needed to think about it. So I was searching for the longest time, like, what can I do? What am I going to teach? Because I didn't know my native language. And I was looking for other African people and looking, okay, what does it mean to be a Black mom? And I actually did ask myself that question because other people outside, they see you as Black. And for me, I'm like, they will see my daughter as Black as well. So what am I going to leave to her? Like, how am I going to explain it to her? So that's, for me, was a search of my own personal identity, so I can pass it on, something that she can see herself into, not just Canadian.
What has your experience been like mothering here in Canada, in comparison, not even in comparison to, because not all of us were, parenting back home, but what has your experience been mothering here? Because I know obviously being a Black mom in a different country is a different experience than here in Canada. Can you speak to that?
Some of the challenges that I faced being a Black mother here in Canada, which is something I never thought myself of being as before I arrived here, was dealing with how other people saw my child and their skin color. Her coming to me asking questions about why are people saying things about my skin color or what's wrong with me, because all she has been around with. What I've had to do is to reassure her of her character, build up her confidence, letting her know that who she is on the inside is more important than what she looks like on the outside, making sure that the people around her in the school knows that she has a support system that will not hesitate to step up in the school and make my presence known if she feels threatened, unheard, unloved, or unseen.
Yes, I love that. You guys
She has a support system which is ready to step in at any point.
And why? Tell me, based off of your experience, why is that even? Why, for those who don't understand where that explain why, based off of your experience, why that's necessary.
Sometimes it's difficult for people to hear you. Once you are associated with different understanding or perception from the different person's point of view, and then your voice is muted, and you talked about like letting your daughter know that she's supported. Support is necessary regardless. So like being your mother, you need support. Being an individual, you need support. Being a child, you need support. And there's a difference between like knowing you need support and being aware that there is support there to back you up.
And
that changes it. Because once you think you understand that we all need support, but like then when you know and you're reassured that support is ready and available, you're able to go into the world and conquer.
Absolutely.
So would you say that do you think that there is representation or there's a misunderstanding when it comes to the support, and I can now move it into wellness for Black moms? Is there support for Black moms in the area of mental wellness, emotional wellness, physical wellness? Is there support? Is there adequate understanding of the support required as well?
So in my experience, and we had just talked about this a few minutes ago, the last 10 to 15 years, there wasn't good representation in like the mental health space for like people who were seeking mental health help, right? However, in the last 2 to 3 years, I'm gonna say there's been like a huge shift, and honestly it's made me so happy. And even I myself in the last 3 years have been able to find like a Black woman therapist that I felt comfortable with. And I was telling them, like, 10, 15 years ago when I was going through things, like I would like look at all these therapists and just, thinking about telling my story and thinking, are they gonna understand? That was enough to hold me back from, reaching out for help. Or years from now, especially for our kids, right? Like you said, like knowing that support is there, right? Like also like, our kids seeing us accessing that kind of help, now, like it'll also, help them and know that, it's okay to access mental health help, right? Which for some of us, wasn't the case, like with our parents or,
Right.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the future of mental health for
Definitely.
Black people.
So would you say then in these 2-3 years that you've seen significant changes, so these changes are, the system has now incorporated what we need as mothers?
No.
What are explain a little bit when you talk about these changes.
The biggest change is seeing more Black therapists, right? Like people who look like me, sound like me, maybe have the same experiences as me, and that's been the biggest. And I don't know what changed that, right? I don't know if it's just like more immigration to Canada. I'm not really sure what it is, but it's the representation.
I believe there is a need, and all of us were screaming for it. And organization like Mesh popping up, like I was literally excited when I saw, oh my goodness, it's an organization that helps moms and Black moms. I was so excited about it. So I think there's more conversation happening, and there's more people speaking up now. When before, I remember when I had my first child, that was 16 years ago. I remember just trying to look strong, right? Because growing up, we admire our moms. Like, and we kept saying, oh, Black mom are the strongest, And my mom had 5 kids, and like no epidural, nothing. I'm like, I'm gonna match that. And after my first one, I was just like, no. And I remember like the nurse that came to, when they do the visit at home, she asked me if I had a support, and honest, I was new to Edmonton. I didn't speak English, and I had that barrier, and I didn't have any community around me, and I didn't know where to find that community because it was in the early 2000s. So the internet was there, but it was not the way it is today. And that nurse said, oh, good thing that you Black women are strong.
Wow.
And I remember like thinking, what that's supposed to mean. Inside of me, I didn't know, like, she meant well. She meant it like a compliment. But inside of me, it just crushed me. And I was just like,
you wanted to ask for help.
I could not.
Yeah.
I wanted to scream, like, but I'm in pain and I'm alone and I don't know what to do. That was my first child. I was by myself. I'm just.
I want to give you a hug.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for sharing that.
No,
You know what?
It was something.
On that same note, bringing it to be a little bit more vulnerable, I want to ask, what has been the cry of your heart as a mother? And like, this is something I would love for every single mother watching this to answer, with start a trend, because I'm like, I know I've cried several times. Like, when I say cry of your heart, I mean like you don't even know where to turn to. You've cried about this so many times. You're just crying because the tears are just coming, And I don't mind going first, but actually you led us into this. But for me, it has always been, where do you go when you don't know what to do as a mother? And you don't have, sisters and aunts and family members that you're close enough to that can support you in this journey of womanhood, because of the fact that we're raised as children to be mothers. It's almost as if once you get there, now we're watching.
Yeah.
You didn't do that right. That's wrong. And so like when you're stuck and you know that you're wrong in what you're doing, that maybe like you know where do you go? And that for me is the cry of my heart, because I'm like, sometimes I literally mean well, but I just like I don't know where to go to do better, to learn better, to do better, so that's my personal vulnerability there. If anyone else wanted to share, what is the cry of your heart?
For me, I didn't know what I didn't know. Like, I remember my daughter crying, and I had no clue. And I didn't have YouTube. I didn't know that kids were crying, and I was just lost. And when you don't know what you don't know what to ask. And people were asking, do you need any help? I'm like, I don't know. So I would say, no, I'm good. Until one nurse at one of the checkup she told me, oh, just hold your baby like this. And it was just a simple football hold, like with the head and just grab the back. I'm like, oh my God, that's all I needed to know. Like I didn't even know how to hold my baby. I feel so like ashamed and incompetent in my role as a mom. Like I cannot even hold a baby properly. And I've been babysitting my nephew, my cousin, and all the kids from the community. But when it comes to my own, I cannot hold my own baby. Like that was, for me, that was hard. Yeah.
You know what? You mentioned something. You've been babysitting your cousins. We have lots of cousins. Everybody's got cousins. Got cousins for days. You know. But like, I had that conversation. Like, I was pregnant alongside like a friend. Like, coincidentally, we became friends, and she was also pregnant almost at the same time. And we went for prenatal classes together. And like, I think during the class, we were like, oh, I think we'll go with diaper changing. Like, our husband should like go do it because we will be babysitting our cousins and nephews and this is and that and that. I'm like, but now we talk about, it's like, yo, being a mom and being a babysitter are very different. Oh my goodness. Night and day. Completely different. But then that's the thing. Like, we grew up with like, oh, you're gonna be a mom, you're gonna be good. But I feel like you're being set up for failure because you're going through all this with the expectation that you're gonna ace motherhood. And then all of a sudden everybody's not even talking about how to support you because, oh my goodness, you've been practicing for years. You're good. You're like A1 mom. That's it. That's we don't need any support. But like, but a cry of my heart is like support, not just like black, but I think it starts from supporting black women. You need to get that support even before you become a mother. You need to get that support when you're going through prenatal, like so that you have an understanding of what like motherhood looks like, what black motherhood looks like, and that's where lived experiences come in. That's when representation comes in. Like if you had a nurse or like a facilitator that is like a black woman too, who is also a mom, who is able to like give you just like tidbits, not just like what the science is saying, but like what my own like this is what the science we got in science, but this is also my own perspective of this. Finding community, letting people know about the support black women have in Edmonton. Letting people know that, oh, we got a group called Mesh of Mothers. If you need to get a hookup, join this group. Let them know what's available and connecting people that way, because that's the only way you could understand a different level of motherhood, as well as gain that support that you need, and also ask just questions like like I don't know what I don't know, but I really know. But when I'm talking about it, when I'm like, yo, this kid is like crying day and night, I'm like, my kid did that and I held him this way, you want to try it? No pressure, nothing, just like encouraging, supporting, like being empathy, approaching people with empathy, like coming in as with a community mindset, like coming to support and help each other, because no man is an island. You talk about like it takes a village to raise a child, but like the village is
where is that?
The truth is you gotta find, like, you have to like plug into that village, because the village is not gonna appear from thin air.
Everything is hard. It is hard. And they expect you to be a good mother, but you can get how to change a diaper, you can get how to feed a baby, figure out what they want, what they don't want. But when it comes to developing character, that is tough, because you're trying to help someone who does not know or does not care that you're trying to help them. So it's like when you're on your job, hey, do you need some help? Sure, I can help you with a child. I am trying to help you. No, I don't want help. I don't want help. But then you are responsible for how this person walks through through this world. And that is a weight that they don't teach you how to carry. And you are like, am I failing? Am I failing? Am I messing up this child? How do I know that I'm doing the right thing? How do I know that the words that I'm choosing to use are not damaging you? And you can always go back to your mother, but you can only parent as well as you've been parented. So you're always trying to go one step above. But even in that, it's a lot of guesswork. And then you're like, okay, did I do that right? And who do you ask? Am I doing this right?
I think
who do you ask?
And even your mom, like people say, go ask your mom, but because I was parenting differently than my mom, and I know I could not smack my child. that.
Yeah.
So my mom wanted to help, but she was getting frustrated.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, Mom, this is not Africa.
Yeah.
I cannot do that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And she would not understand.
Right.
So I'm like, if I go see the other aunties, they will say the same thing as my mom.
Right.
So
Right.
and the books that I was reading, they were mostly tailored for white.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, I'm stuck in the middle.
Yeah, you were saying.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, with what you said about like parenting, how do you know you're doing the right thing, right? I feel like that's where groups like Mesh of Our Mothers comes into play, right? Like, like you said, you don't want to do the same things that your parents did, right? So in a group like this, I feel like this is a place where we can kind of share experiences, right? Like, like I'm sure everyone knows about like conscious parenting.
Yes.
Everyone's trying to do that now, which I love for our generation, right? And I obviously feel more comfortable talking to women who look like me and sound like me and have the same experiences like me about things like this, right? And I'm just glad for like a group like that to be able to share experiences.
Well, this is all the time we have for today. We just wanted to give you just a little taste, just a taste of what you're going to be seeing August 12th, this event. It's a free event. We're going to have food, we're going to have conversations, we're going to have panelist discussions, we're going to be networking. It's going to be a night of release and relief, the first night of the rest of our lives. So you want to be a part of forward movement for the maternal voice, so you want to be there.
Mesh of Mothers, August 12th, be there.
Sorry.